The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Between science and ignorance, there is filler.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to 2016 on Paranormal Filler. I'm your host, Wes Forsyth, and I'm hoping that everything's working okay tonight. We've already had some audio glitches, but we're hoping that everything works out okay. Basically, tonight's a big night. We're doing more feeds. We're doing more with the equipment. You know, I sit here and I look at the 5 computers that it takes me to do everything that I try to do. And I wonder, I should go back like everybody else and just do it over my cell phone and be done with it. The first hour of Paranormal Filler is brought to you every week live paranormal.com, your paranormal social community with live interactive broadcasting. And, of course, Paranormal Filler is sponsored by Ken Boggle's House of Cards. That's tarotbyken.com. Once again, Happy New Year. I want to welcome you to the new and updated and improved Paranormal Filler. At least I hope it's an improvement. But tonight we launch our subscription service that includes the new second hour, 2 hours now of Paranormal Filler every week. The second hour is available live at wihgradio.com or at any of my broadcast partners that carry the live feed. I want to remind you, of course, that the subscription service is called Friends of Filler. Members have 24/7 access to the new second hour archives and live and archived Paranormal Filler TV. Yes, that's right, people. If you're tuning in on Paranormal Filler TV, I am wearing a tie. You have never seen me in a tie, except maybe, well, if you saw a picture on Facebook of me going out dancing. But otherwise, hey, I spiffed up for the occasion. My guest tonight is Mary Dusina, metaphysician, intuitive counselor. Always a fun guest to have on. She's already on the line. She is bringing us her 2016 Celestial Insights tonight. And she has graciously offered to give one of my subscribers a free 30-minute tarot reading or psychic consult. So that'll be over the phone, but we'll be giving that away to one of our subscribers here soon. And enjoy the show.
Paranormal Filler.
And Mary, welcome to the show. Mary, can you hear me?
Happy New Year, Wes. It's such a privilege and an honor. Thank you for putting on a tie.
Hey, I like to dress up for the ladies, as they say. Now, first of all, Mary, we scheduled this. Oh, we scheduled it actually, I guess, months ago. But now I have to tell you, I'm not sure I trust an astrologer that screws up the date of the full moon.
I can tell you why.
Why did you do
astrologers, and I know I speak for every professional astrologer. My world is going about 6 to 7 months ahead because I'm looking at the prognostication factors, the different planetary movements, which we call transits, that are going on, because if someone's calling me, pretty much they're wanting to know about a certain category. Usually it's their personal intimate life, work, career factors, the changes or the themes that are going to seem to careen into their life for this particular year. And a lot of them base it on the stresses that were from the year or two prior. So they need to have that. Astrology is a map. It's just a celestial map, and how the current planets of 2016, let's say, help you navigate, just like your GPS in your car allows you to go forward. So it's not that you believe in it as the structure of your spirituality, but it's a great friend and a great assistant in looking ahead 6 months to a year. So, for example, this year, the big game changers, the months of March and September, are the big effect months for 2016 because those will be our eclipse months. There'll be 2 eclipses in both of those 2 months, March and September. So I'm already looking at the effects of September 2016 that are going to be ignited in March. And so although 2016 starts out a little sluggish and slow due to some slowdown of planetary configurations, that's why it's easy for us to go, whoops, didn't mean to talk about that full moon, because I've got to back up now in order to talk to Wes about December of 2015 or January of 2016. So it's our job to kind of go, whoop, and take the wings off our boots and back up and say, okay, now it's January, so get your head out of the clouds, literally, come down to earth.
Okay, let's get a little pedestrian before we get into it too deep. I want to talk about the calendar New Year. Now, first of all, you as a psychic medium, astrologer, do you have any, do you put any faith, any confidence into what we would normally call New Year superstitions or traditions?
For me personally, not really. I think that any mystical persona or any spiritually based person knows that home is where the heart is. And so how you steer your life and what anchors you spiritually is where you set your intentions. And that's the accelerator of your persona. That's the driver of your attitude. You know, it's going to be whether you are uplifted by your faith and encouragement and positivity, or if you're still caught in the quicksand emotionally and psychologically of the psychological patterns of your past, or that really hard hurt that you sustained in your childhood, or a broken relationship. You know, those people that just can't quite get untangled from that emotional prison. It's self-created. So I believe our best self psychologically, whether it's a superstition or a goal, like everybody in January thinks about, rut-row, time to get healthy, time to lose weight. So I feel like it's more to do with what fuels us, what fuels our faith, what fuels our drive. Are we pretentious or contentious or encouraging and filled with gratitude?
Well, thank you for making me feel like I wasted my time on New Year's Eve. I'm not I guess I am superstitious, but I do have, I guess you would call it, some rituals that we have developed over the years based on the old wives' tales, they say. But like we try New Year's Day, for example, nothing leaves the house. We don't take garbage out. We don't, go shopping that day.
Interesting.
That day, now stuff can come in the house, but there's things like that. Eat certain foods. Don't eat chicken on New Year's Day because chickens scratch backwards, and that indicates you're looking in the past. You want to go with fish or pork because they go forward all the time. And also, now here's the funny one. You'll like this. We take all of our calendars. Now, I've always been superstitious about not opening, not hanging up next year the New Year's calendar until New Year's Day. That I grew up with that. But
that's neat.
But we take all of our calendars, Mary, and we put money in them.
Oh, I like that.
It doesn't work, trust me. But it's it's the intent. And really it goes, I kind of agree with what you say, but these are rituals that I think people do to guide that intent that you were talking about. And I know that's what we do. That puts us in the mindset that we're going to have a good year financially, that we're going to have a lucky year, and people losing weight. Now I quit doing those kind of resolutions. I never make resolutions about improving myself, but I can understand why people do it, because starting that new year and having that intent could drive you towards that destiny.
Well, now, being a Southern girl, being your Cosmic Cowgirl, I was born in Tennessee, and I have had many a decade of having just my cousin and his wife the other night, black-eyed peas, collard greens.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and that's never hurt anything. I mean, it's a healthy meal.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I cook everything in butter. Okay. When you see me eat something green, there is butter involved.
Can't blame you at all. I'm a Southerner with an Italian background. My father, was born in Kentucky, your guys' area, but he was also, still a good nature man. And the Italian part of him said, "You must use olive oil." I'm a Southern girl, and me said, "I'm not using margarine." So I'm a kind of a buttery olive oil kind of girl.
Now I'm lard and butter. I grew up. They were. I mean, they used to say, "Oh, don't use lard. Use, vegetable oil." And then come to find out, vegetable oil was like deadly. And then they made it mildly healthier by removing the hydrogenated whatever the hell it is. So, but you know what? Lard never changed. And I figure it's going to come back just like butter did.
Well, that's one of the themes.
Now,
that's one of the bigger themes of 2016 planetary-wise. Jupiter, speaking of our calendar, Jupiter is transiting, like we get on a transit system of a bus or a car or a boat or a plane, and Jupiter is transiting the Earth sign, the harvest maiden. You're into gardening and with your livestock, you and your wife, and Virgo is that after the crops have fully bloomed or the fruits have ripened, it's the harvest time. It runs about the third week of August into the first 3 weeks, before autumn equinox, when the next sign starts. And so when the luck planet, Jupiter, is expansive. So wherever we want to find our luck this year, and Virgo and Pisces happen to be getting an extra dose of a little wink from the heavens, Jupiter is traveling Virgo. So the earth signs, those of you out there that are Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, get a bit of a celestial slide to get you through some of the tougher times with a sense of grace, because Jupiter is pointing these signs, Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn, and then the opposite sign of Virgo, Pisces, benefits through their partnerships. So if someone happens to be a Pisces and married to a Virgo, or vice versa, what's happening is they're kind of shedding and bouncing beautiful light off of each other. Their auras together, their energy harbors, are in sync. And so as a team, that Virgo and that Pisces can see a lot of acceleration, both materialistically, spiritually, and personally. They'll see a new oomph to their intimate synchronicities. They'll be able to say, wow, I know we've been together for a while, but I'm really liking how we're upgrading our relationship and how we're being able to read each other's minds and be in sync with each other's projects and goals and intentions. So I would say that the most favored signs for 2016 seem to flow with the earth signs, Virgos, Taurus, and Capricorn. Those have luck, Lady Luck, or in Italian, Lady Fortunata, on their side.
So now, did I hear you correctly that me being a Pisces, being married to a Virgo, I should have a pretty good year? A Pisces married to a Virgo, should I have a pretty good year? Mary's having trouble hearing me.
You're Pisces, Wes?
Yes, I'm a Pisces, and I'm married to a Virgo.
Nice. Now, yes, you did hear me correctly, and forgive me if the sound is cutting out here in these lakeside mountains. Virgo is the earth sign, and she's that harvest maiden. And Virgo energies, male or female, they're all about the practical, that comedy tour that runs around the country, get done. Virgo's about, I don't know how to relax because there's stuff to be done. Pisces is the one that's the two fish swimming in opposite directions, and Pisces is like, man, can I get lost in this? I am so enjoying this mood, and the Virgo's going, hey, we got to do this. And Pisces is like, I know, but my creative juices are flowing so nicely here. And they really do know how to escape into creative quagmires and blessings. I mean, Pisces, if they don't allow that creative download to happen. So can they get lost in the moment? Yes. Can they be inspired by music and artistry and beauty? Yes. So Virgo is the sign that says to you, okay, I'm going to let you get lost for a couple hours, and then I'm coming in to tie in the leash here, because we've got to get this done.
Okay, coming up, we just came up on a hard break. I'm going to have a quick commercial here, and we'll be back with Mary Dusina. TarotByKen.com. Unlike other tarot readers, Ken reads multiple spreads during each session to provide you with clear, concise answers and guidance. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a voice on the radio. From Kelly, one reading with Ken completely changed things around for me. Jennifer, I feel so rejuvenated about my life. Melissa, it has changed my life. Visit TarotByKen.com to arrange your own tarot date, or you can call or text Ken at 859-229-4833. You're listening to Paranormal Filler. I'm your host, Wes Forsythe. My guest tonight is Mary Dusina with her 2016 Celestial Insights. Now, you haven't brought up anything negative yet, Mary, so I'm going to assume the stars have not told you that it's time for the world to start hoarding peanut butter and ammunition.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, as a grounded, earthy girl, I'm going to tell you that, to me, the signs were clearly evident back in 2007, 2008, that smart, savvy people out there started to prep somewhat. So for their families, if you just look at weather disasters besides terroristic tidal waves that have happened in the last 6 years, I mean, just since April of 2015 when the god-awful beheading started making the news. So without getting on right or wrong of anything, I'm just going to tell you that with Jupiter in Virgo, it says, take care of your own, prepare for your tribe, don't get caught too much in the hypocrisy and the propagandizing of any government or any zealot religious faction or liberated this or Republican this or Democratic this, or don't get caught up in the fanfare. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is who I love. This is what matters. My awakening and my sense of security happens if I invest my time and my money somewhat without freaking out into keeping my pantry stored. Just look at the flooding that's happened over the last 2 weeks, the earthquakes and the oddities, the anomalous weather that we're having. So I have Capricorn in my chart, so I'm going to be very practical and tell you that I deliberately went into the nutrition and health food store industry and studied herbs for the last 3 decades because I understand the value of holistic nutrition more than just relying on CEOs that are back behind the nurses and the doctors telling you what vaccine to take and take this pill instead. It'll dumb you down and you won't care anymore. So practicality tells you in any kind of given year, aren't you going to relax more, Wes, if you and your animals and your wife have stuff in the pantry, whether the blizzard comes or not? If you are somewhat prepared, whether the nut job tries to come down your driveway and says, I'm taking your guns or I'm of this faction or that faith, and you're going to be like, nope, just nope. So it's about sovereignty, and this year is going to be, as far as to your point, about potential negativity. What I like about this year is that the common good, it's like a Robin Hood kind of year, the common good of the humanitarian focus of the people versus the elitist is going to be all over the place. The people are going to be standing up, rebellious, if you will, revolutionary, if you will, for what people in their hearts and their souls know is the core of what's right spiritually, the core of what's right for the human race versus, well, that side says this and this side says this, and let's just get all caught up in fighting and hating with each other. Now, I can tell you as an animal fosterer and rescuer for years, I have a very kind heart. I'm empathic. I'm compassionate. I would lie to you if I wouldn't tell you as a Scorpio that if someone came toward a family member of mine or came to harm an animal or came at me at my home, they'll have a date with a bullet or else. I don't care who knows that. I'm not out attacking or wanting to change anybody else. But this girl, homie, don't play that. It's not going to happen. So to defend your own, to care about the rights of humankind is important more than ever right now. So I do believe in 2016 we're now more awake, we're more vigilant, we're asking the proper questions. There are some moments in January for your audience to have some specifics. This year will start out rather sluggish. The first week of January has got a few war of words or type of square-offs at the OK corrals. We may find ourselves turning our heads to the side going, what? Is that true? Or what is that? So I do believe that the first week of this month, the first month of our new year, and around the 22nd to the 24th of January for all signs, but particularly for the signs of Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, remain vigilant. Remain vigilant. I believe that in that latter part of January, when we come up against the first full moon of our new year over the 22nd and 23rd of January, what we call the cold moon or the wolf full moon, there's a couple of planets that are at a crossfire with each other. It's a squaring off of this or that. That starts to bring in, if we get caught up in mental debate, and I can summarize that by saying, choose your battles wisely in the third week of January. Maybe it's better to get the situation right than it is to prove your point that you're right, they're wrong. And pretty much January flows besides that. But it's a time, January is mainly Capricorn. The Capricorn energy starts the month. And so it's telling us, where are you a power broker in your own life? How's your drive doing? Mars just went into Scorpio. So Mars is strongest when it's in the signs of Scorpio and Aries. And it's going to be in Scorpio until June. Like it's going to retrograde in April. And Mars is going to spend most of 2016. Mars is the accelerator on your car, people. It's what drives your personality. Does it rule over you and have control of you? Absolutely not. But as a celestial flavor, it's the difference between whether you like a lot of salt, pepper, or a little sriracha sauce put on things. So Mars amps up the heat. And so where we're going to get heated up is if somebody tries to push their religion or their viewpoint on us. If someone tries to tell us we're wrong or we're stupid or we're ignorant if we don't believe like they do. So that's where you're going to get these war of words. But for the most part, except if you're a Taurus person, because Mars will oppose you, it's about really getting in touch with what do you want emotionally. The first 4 months of 2016, and I know you archived the show, so long past January, people are going to want to find out some things about their signs, which is great that you do that, Wes. I compliment you for that. Long past January, we're going to say, where am I? Possibly in an emotional shutdown, or am I not being my authentic, true self because I'm afraid I'll lose this job and the fallout from that? Am I afraid? Am I not really being myself in this partnership or this relationship? Am I following their lead exclusively and kind of inhibiting myself because I'm more afraid of what I'll have to work for or where I'll have to go if I broke this off? So it's really about the mask are coming off in the first 4 months of 2016. Now, there's a whole lot of people that like to hide under a mask, Wes. You've met them.
Oh, definitely.
And, yeah. So as far as negative, those people that are Machiavellian, those personality types that are narcissistic or sociopathic, they're not going to be able to hide so well. We're going to be able to see what's authentic. I believe everybody's intuitive and psychic ability, their spiritual compass is very strong. And it gets really strong by the last week of February. and March, when we have that first eclipse over the March 7th, 8th, 9th, that big solar eclipse. Man, the big rule I'd say to avoid negativity is do not second guess your first instinct. When your insight is talking to you, that's your allegiance with your God, Supreme Creator, Holy Ghost. It's the light talking to you about where the darkness is, and don't argue with that.
I'm pretty sure you just said things are going to get really ugly right when the presidential primaries start. Not that that's any great prediction on your part, but I do want to. You said a word, a phrase, the war of words. Now
yes.
God, I hope this doesn't get worse. I have seen since. I've noticed it really badly since November here in Kentucky. And it goes to that point you made about the polarization of opinions. Mm-hmm. More and more people are saying you either agree with me or you are an idiot. People can't just say you're wrong or I disagree anymore. And I don't want to get political on it, but the reflection in Kentucky was that they accused the voters of voting against their self-interest by electing a Republican governor. And I mean vehemently said that. And most people that I've talked to, they just wanted change. They would rather be led the wrong direction than not be led at all. Everybody is so fed up with the status quo that they're wanting a change even if it has to get worse before it gets better.
Sometimes it does have to get worse before it gets better because too many of us have played it safe. Too many of us have not wanted to offend the social norm, or when we did speak, for the last few years, when we had Saturn moving through Scorpio, it was about becoming authentic within your own self. What do you want anyway? And by the way, who are you? Stop being the bird sitting on the wire. Take a stand. Now, I will tell you, with Saturn in Sagittarius and Uranus in Aries, and I know this is like just planet talk to a lot of people, there's a lot of fire signs activated this year, and you're going to see more of a passionate approach. I don't like that someone just decides when they get in a bad mood and they throw a temper tantrum that they go out and want to wield some type of weapon. I believe that we're going to have to stop being so ego-driven, self-entitled, my way or the highway, or in the South when we say them fighting words. Cross that line. We have to feel the spirit of a situation and the spirit of rightness. And I believe one of the things that's been missing in that some of the other generations, older generations, talk to me about is where's your anchor? Do you have an anchor of light? Do you have an anchor of darkness? What works for you? Where's your harbor of peace? And I believe, Wes, there's a whole lot of people out there that really thought when they made a lot of money, when they got that certain marriage or that relationship, of that promotion, I really believe when they got out of college, and I thought, well, I'll automatically get a job. The economy would be great because I got the degree. And when they really came slam-faced up into, wow, I'm being told I'm overqualified, or there's 20 different people vying for my position, and worse, I am a good person. I did all this. I played by the rules, and I'm being passed over in a corrupt way. What I believe is the negativity of 2016 that I feel good about being conquered is the Robin Hoods and, the St. Francis and the Mother Teresa and the advocacy groups that care about the overall good of this planet, of mankind and fellow human beings, is going to override the elite, what I was saying, the elitist world government, you do as I say.
And we're up on a break, Mary. I'm going to play another commercial. This is Paranormal Filler. I am a believer, but I'm not talking about the paranormal right now. I'm talking about PC-matic. Nothing ever lives up to the hype. Like you, I've seen the TV commercials for PC-matic. Since I obviously have to rely on my computers, I decided to give it a try. Now, do you have an older computer running maybe Windows XP? I do. And it's running like it's fresh out of the box. As a matter of fact, I've installed PC-matic on all of my Windows desktops. And yes, I can tell the difference. So, if your computer is running slow or crashing, or if you just have to rely on your computers like I do, go to my website, paranormalfiller.com. Click the PC-matic banner and then try one of their free scans. PC-matic, for speed, stability, security, you won't be disappointed. And welcome back to Paranormal Filler. My guest tonight is Mary Dusina, spiritual intuitive consultant. Okay, moving on with the year. Now, February is my month. That's when I was born. I was born at the very end of February, February 28th. On a leap year, but not, I just missed the 29th, Mary. What does February, I see that the 22nd is what you call a snow moon. Does that...
Well...
I just wanted to know, first of all, in general, give me February in general, but also, because I was born in February, is that a special month to me?
Anytime there's an eclipse within a week or so of someone's birthday, they span it out about a week to 2 weeks because the solar eclipse, total solar eclipse is very strong. So that's going to be happening within that first week of March, exact around the 7th, 8th, depending on where someone lives in the world. But it's in your sign. It's in the sign of Pisces. So every Pisces out there, and their opposite or polarity or balancing sign, Virgo, and for anybody out there right now listening that is not a Pisces or a Virgo, please understand this. As I answer Wes, when I'm talking about Pisces, it's happening somewhere in your chart. So you might be a Sagittarian or you might be a Libra, but Pisces, that just means that sign goes first. So Wes happens to be a Pisces, and his sign is, that's what he is. That's his sun sign. So Pisces is number one for him. So the eclipse has him right in the spotlight. So the last 2 weeks of February, we start, as you roll toward that birthday, and 2016 is the leap year, Pisces matters, anything to do with oceans of your emotions, high tide, creatively. It's going to surge this year. I'm going to use water words on purpose because it's a water eclipse. You're a water sign. When you talk about worldly predictions, cruise ship incidents, whether that's a breakout of illness or that's, another captain, running up on land or odd things happening, anything anomalous to do with whether that's the positive side of that, of new sea life being discovered, or wonders of the deep or terrors of the deep, whether there's tsunamis or odd hurricanes or wind-driven rain or precip. I don't like to put a lot of energy into negative weather predictions, but I would keep a weather eye on the fiercity of the wind levels of storms and water, whether that's frozen ice or snow or torrential flooding like we just saw in Missouri and those areas. I just saw today where ice off of somebody's windshield came off and cracked somebody's windshield, and they caught it with their dash cam. So oddities to do with water. Now, take that in a celestial, psychological sense, Wes, and your creativity is on a surge. You're on a high tide for creative endeavors all the way into June of 2016. The challenge comes if on the shadow side of Pisces, because there's a shadow to all 12 signs, if you start to see these fruits of your labor and the success and more money's coming in and good connections and broadcast venues and all are expanding, and you get a little lax or lazy and kind of, as they say, sit back on your laurels and drop the ball as far as, returning those calls or those emails or doing your due diligence. That's that Virgo side that Pisces doesn't like to work with so well. You might want to turn to your team members, be it your life partner who happens to be a Virgo, or other people that will take care of that attention to detail. So important for Pisces right now, because what crowds the Pisces, Wes, as if they don't have that free flow time in their life to be able to recharge their soul battery. It might be being by water. It might be planting seeds. It might be just staring at a lake or a river or an ocean. They have to, they ground themselves in nature because it's so easy for them to be floating around in the mystical, the artistic, or the paranormal, or the supernatural. They're really more out there than they are down here. So for your sign, in order to keep that impetus going this year, to keep that wave, you know, when it comes in, you're like, okay, I'm seizing the opportunity. And for your sign, for the water signs, particularly Pisces, because the action, the first eclipse that launches in 2016, and watch the news weather-wise in March. Watch the news. Watch what's going on with potential blizzards or storms or flooding and stuff. When we come into the last week of February, not that that can't be a strong weather time anyway, but right now in my area, we're having a pretty warm winter. I'm grateful. Last year was a nice storm. So I'm keeping a weather eye open for the first couple of days, the first couple of weeks of March. So I've already prepped in my head that my pantry will be prepped, and I'll be very weather aware for my region in the southeast here. I'll be very aware for that. I would suggest Florida, which is a Pisces state with its date of incorporation when it was formed as a state. California, which is a Virgo state by its articles of incorporation. These two states could be in the news for a host of reasons. So, and Maine is another Pisces state. So for those signs, Pisces and their opposite Virgo, these are your team players, Wes, and all of you that are Pisces or Virgo. And then secondary, Geminis and Sagittarians, they are, as long as they can get through their own psychological negativity, as long as they can get, say to themselves, oh, stop it. Stop looking in the mirror or being critical about what's wrong, and let's just focus on what's right. Those signs, those 4 signs are going to need to keep focused on, I'm grateful, this is really good, and I'm going to take this opportunity and ride the wave. So I see for you, potentially, because it's up to what you do with it, the stars can be beautiful, and people can be lazy. Well, the stars can be awful, and people can sink into it and like being a victim instead of being victorious. You know people like that. So for the water signs, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, this is a year you need to be on your game, and you need to respect the game, and it needs to be win-win, not just I win and I'm kind of walking over the dead bodies as I rush to the forefront. No, it's not about just driving and surging ahead. It's about not burning any bridges. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I will say that I have no one. Now, I accuse myself of being lazy sometimes, but no one ever accuses me of being lazy. If anything, I'm the type of person that I tend to get too many irons in the fire and let things slide. And it's not that I'm not doing anything, it's just that I'm concentrating on these problems over here while these problems over there just fester all to pieces.
Okay, that's another form of escapism, though. I get so many things going that my crux of the matter, my nemesis, where I knock my legs out from underneath myself, is I'm always busy, but am I getting ahead? Am I progressing? So that's another good point to bring up about Pisces and Virgo, actually. Geminis are famous for doing that. They're like whirling dervishes. They've got like 4 or 5 irons in the fire. That's what the mutable signs do. They like having, you share that in common with Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. They're okay. They really do function well with 4 or 5 things going at the same time. When I talk to my clients that are under those signs, I say to them, okay, got 4 things going? How's that working out for you? Pick 2 that seem to be talking back to you in a positive flow of conversation and experience, and seize the day. So we can all be exhaustedly busy, but not producing results. So it isn't that I'm saying lazy in a sense that you're sitting around, just watching the butterfly wings pop out of the chrysalis. I'm not saying that. It has to do with where do you feel like your creativity is actually showing you it's taking roots. It's in your life garden. It's busting out of the warm, moist, fertile earth, and it's going to bear seed for you this year. Yes, you know personally what kind of work a garden takes. Drought can kill it. Too much rain can kill it. But there's that faith factor when the seed is put down in that dirt, and that's like our life. We put a new idea, a new project, a new relationship, a hopeful business contract. That's a seed of life. And we put our faith and we put our work and we weed our garden. You know, we get rid of the toxic people, hopefully, and the toxic situations. We get ourselves out of self-sabotaging behaviors, hopefully. That takes work. That takes work. When we stop feeling sorry for ourselves and get ourselves out of what's bringing us down. So when you are a gardener, a master gardener, you recognize the difference between a weed and a seed that you want to see grow. And there is more work around Pisces and Virgo and Gemini and Sagittarians this year, but oh my goodness, are they going to see great harvest by September if they keep their nose to the grindstone on this? But for you, I feel like it has a lot to do with some bright new connections coming in to say, hi, I'm the fertilizer in your life garden. I don't mean that just with manure. I'm the one that can be the enhancements in you're going to get some new acreage.
I would make the accusation that a lot of people that have brought fertilizer into my life over the last few months, this little thing in the back of my head still makes the manure reference that that you just brought up. And now, little sidebar, in the chat room at liveparanormal.com, Chris Sutton says, yeah, about the laziness thing, all the pictures that my wife posted me sitting in my recliner with my dog. I just want to point out those are at the end of a hard day's work.
I agree with him. And I'll tell you this, I'm one of those people, to Chris's point, I'm a water sign, I'm a Scorpio. If I sit down in that recliner, my mental journeys, my mystical journeys, my meditations, my prayers, my creativity goes, let's say it's in more of a supernatural mode than just the tangible good green earth. So I agree with him. He's worked hard. He's done, let's say, a physical and mental hard day's labor. There's also laboring that goes on with our creativity and our spirituality. And it's a 24/7 job. I think with today's, the strife we've been through with the financial markets, the Greece and Italy and, Spain and United States, since 2008 and the mortgage crisis, listen, there's a lot of hurting people out there. There's a lot of people that are not just soul thirsty, they're scared. And they're like, I need to have some hope and some encouraging words. And I do see 2016 that while Chris is holding his dog, and I love me some dogs, love them. While he's holding that dog, he's actually receiving healing with his true companion there. And I'm not talking bad about human relationships, but there's something about the loyalty and the joy of a dog that's different than your human intimacy. While he's holding that dog, he is being refueled, both psychologically, creatively, and spiritually. And he's doing, in my opinion, as a mystic, just as much work after he's done his due diligence out in the field of physical labor and mental and psychological, just to deal with the world and the opinions and all that out there now. He's doing just as much work to hopefully rest and restore both his mind and his spirit. That is, to me, the balance. Like the infinity symbol, the figure 8 on its side, we're off balance. We're off balance, and it's crazy-making behavior, or we walk around half crazy and half cocked, if you will. If we have to attend to our psychological, mental, emotional health. We have to. In my opinion, in my little humble opinion, too many people have been ignoring that over the last 7 years. It's dangerous.
I worry. I worry quite often that I got into that pattern over the last few years, and that's one thing I have not accomplished yet in 2016. I kind of I've talked about it on the radio many times, even with you, with all the events that happened in late 2014 in my life. I pretty much took off a great deal of 2015 as far as the metaphysical side of things. It's a year later, and I'm going to get concentrating on that. We are on a hard break. This is ParanormalFiller.com's radio show. Do you have a website? Are you a fan of Paranormal Filler? Help me spread the word and grow the show by becoming a Paranormal Filler broadcast partner. All you have to do is place one of my show players on your website. You can choose the last episode player or the 24/7 archive player. Both players automatically update to play my current live show, including the new members hour. In return, I'll drive traffic to your website on paranormalfiller.com and on my social media accounts. Plus, my broadcast partners are eligible for free or discounted promotions of their paranormal events, products, and services. Become a Paranormal Filler broadcast partner at paranormalfiller.com. And welcome back to Paranormal Filler. I'm your host, Wes Forsythe. My guest is Mary Dusina. Now we've got we got a few minutes left into the first hour of Paranormal Filler before we go up against the hard break and cut over to WIHGradio.com. If you're listening live, that's where you'll want to be listening to get the second hour of the show, WIHGradio.com. Now, Mary, this is why in the past you suffered because I only had a 1 hour show. We're barely into March, and here it is. We've blown an hour. So let's move up into March and April, and where do the signs take us from there? Can you hear me, Mary? Mary, can you hear me?
I can now, sir.
Okay. There's like a lag on my microphone when I kick it back on. We're just barely into 2016, and we're almost at the end of the first hour. Where do we go into March and April?
On March, the first week of March, to me, because as a mystic, to your point earlier in the show about the calendar year versus the astrological year, to a metaphysician, to an astrologer, my new year begins at spring equinox. So I'm in this country, I was born in this country, so I abide by addressing the customs that society says about new year, new you. But to me, the year doesn't really accelerate or drive forward, and I think it helps people to know that they're not failing or they're not losing the momentum. They're better to focus that goal toward March of 2016, because in March, both around the 7th through the 10th of March, and then again, when we come into the lunar eclipse, the first lunar eclipse of 2016, will also be contained inside of March. That's going to be over the 22nd and the 23rd. And what I like about March, there's like in astrology, there's this fancy old wizard type of word called a grand trine. And if you ever heard anything about the 70s, they used to talk about pyramid power. So if you think about the power of a pyramid, or all three of the signs lining up in a favorable angle, that's a trine. So triangle pyramid power. That happens in March. And it's a grand fire trine right after St. Patrick's Day, going in toward what I consider the beginning of the year, 20th, 21st of March, when we have spring equinox, which will be on the 20th because we have an extra day in February. So if you can strategize, if you can kind of get your ducks in a row, really take inventory in January of 2016 about what worked best in 2015 as far as your work ethics, what produced product for you or marketed better than other irons in the fire, as you put it, that you worked on, what really produced the best feelings and results within you. I think feelings are a part of this because the first eclipse is in Pisces, and where your feelings rise, your creativity and your attention wants to go. It feels inspired and encouraged rather than, well, I got struck out. I didn't get to hit the ball. They caught it. It was a pop fly, and they caught it. Man, that was as a batter, I did great. They just caught it. The luck went to them, and the outfielder caught my ball. So March of 2016 in April, momentum. big momentum. And we have 4 Mercury retrogrades this year. First one starts in a couple of days on January 5th. All the Mercury retrogrades this year are in the financial signs. They're in the earth signs. So what we're going to hear is a lot of people doing a whole lot of hot words about nothing, but we're going to see a lot more of that greedy, grabby agenda. So again, I emphasize that everybody keep their intuitive antenna hoisted high. So while Chris is in the chair with his beloved dog, he needs to feel how I feel about the people I came in contact today. Let's say he did 5 sales calls. A couple of them felt like, I probably need to do more work on that. And maybe 3 or more of them were like positive response by the end of 2 weeks. So the way we're doing the inventory in the first 4 months of 2016 is about how does it feel. And we lose a lot of our creative productivity if we're unwilling to feel. Do you understand how that could be a subtraction point? This isn't a year the first 4 months of 2016 are not it's not a year for you to try to play it all in your head and how creative you are and how your pitch was. You better be observing how your customer and your client and your patron is feeling about your product, your presence, and your promise. Real important.
Now I'm feeling all pressured now. I've got all this great creativity coming up, and then I have to watch my P's and Q's as I move into April. So let's see. Well, actually, we've only got about 3 minutes left.
Can you fire off some quick predictions?
Fire off some quick predictions, especially if they pertain to the first quarter of the year.
I feel like in the first quarter of the year, we're going to see some really heartwarming medical discoveries as far as repair and rehabilitation of things that were formerly maybe even terminal. I feel very good about the technological advances that are coming out in the first quarter of this year. The challenge to that will be there's going to be a new theme that we need to get the younger generation less off of the electronics so they don't lose their touch with their emotions and nature and the world that we live on, in case there was an EMP pulse. So I feel like that we need, as parents, as grandparents, as aunts and uncles and cousins, we need to take that younger teenager or person by the hand and say, let's go to the zoo, let's go to the beach, let's go to the mountains, we're going to go on a hike, leave all electronics back at home. There needs to be more of that so we engage the right side of the brain instead of just the left side always doing the techno learning. I feel very good advances to do with Alzheimer's, dementia this year, both herbally and pharmaceutically. I like that. And I feel like that we're going to see some new heroes this year that really champion some of our biggest newsmakers.